Hi, my name is Meerte. This is a video about how to paint folds in clothing with watercolor. Here I, for example, have already painted a little bit of the painting, but as you can see, I already gave some lines in my drawing. This really helps me to know where to put the shade when I'm painting. An important thing to know when you're starting to draw folds is to sort of know where the folds naturally fall. So for example, if you have some kind of waistband type of thing or a band around the arms, that's always where you're going to have folds. So you draw a couple of lines up and from there. For example, under the bust is a point where you tend to get lines. There, for around the neckline, you tend to get folds. Also, obviously, the bottom of the skirt folds, and the bottom, like the hems of t-shirts or blouses. So what I do is I always just draw the line, the sort of crooked line or even a wavy line to draw the hem, and then you draw a couple of lines up where it feels natural. For example, with skirts, it's always important to pay attention to where the knees are. And if they are bending, there always tends to be folds here. You can see that here, for example, with this one sitting down. You see a fold here in between the legs. Here, this is already painted, of course. You can also see where the knee folds and sort of pushes the fabric outwards. And that's how you go about it. This dress is actually going to be white, and therefore I'm going to erase some of the lines or make them even lighter to make sure that you don't really see the pencil through my paint. I'm actually going to start off with the sash around her upper waist. Really just outlining and then later coloring it in. Okay, so when you first start painting your shadows, make sure you have whichever color that you want to use to make your shadow very watered down. You should still be able to see that it's a color, but very lightly. I have a little card here, and this is my shade currently. Okay, so I'm just gonna line out whichever shapes I made with the pencil already. And blend them out as I go to make sure you don't get too hard edges here in the beginning. You can get some hard edges later if you like at some points, but you want to leave that at the end when you're detailing things and not do that in the beginning yet. Now on to the actual dress. I'm gonna leave the hair and the faces for now. Okay, so when you're painting a white dress, you can choose many colors for the shadow. You can basically choose any tone that you want. You can go for a light pink or a light purple or light blue or light yellow. I tend to choose blue or yellow most often, depending on the rest of my picture. In this case, I'm going for a yellow based shadow color. I mix a couple of different shades usually, and I wanted to look a bit ecru, like a beige type of color for the shadow, because the flowers I'm also going to do a little bit more in a yellow, warmer tint than a cool tone, so I prefer yellow. The main difference between drawing in a white piece of cloth versus any other color really is that when you do the other color, you start off with a very watered down shade of that color and draw in the whole dress in that shade first before you start adding any shadows. But you really do it very, very lightly, because you still need to be able to see highlights, because if you color it in too dark at the first go, you cannot really see the highlights anymore, and then it's going to be very dark. So unless whichever clothing item you're painting is actually very dark and barely has any light reflection, then it might work. But if you want something to look a little bit more airy, or, well, not like a thick velvet, you might want to start off really, really lightly. And also, this is just how I do it without a reference, because I am often too lazy to look them up when I'm just sketching from memory or whatever I have in my head. Yeah, so you can get some slightly more realistic folds sometimes when you actually use a reference, and I can highly recommend that. Someone on the internet, I think it was maybe Stephanie Puimin Law. I'm very sorry if I do not pronounce her name correctly. For Stephanie Law for short. She is also a watercolor artist, and she once had a tutorial in which she showed that she just uses a sheet, a bed sheet or something, or if you have actual fabric you can use that, to drape around the body in the way she would want her drawing to have, kind of, and then take a picture of it and draw that. You have a reference exactly for what you want. So as you can see, I'm doing the hem now. Also just literally lining the hem, adding a little bit of shade there where you know a piece of fabric is on top of the other one, and then you color in the bit that is supposed to be lower. Not too far. It's better to add more paint later on if you feel like it's not giving enough depth than to have to figure out a way to erase it, as you probably will know, because it's very hard with watercolor. I have some more folds here coming together so that can be a little bit darker. And I keep adding water also to make sure my lines are not yet too hard. Some of them obviously are a little bit hard already because I didn't add that much water, or I wasn't quick enough, but so far so good. Like, this is not, it didn't go wrong or anything. So don't stress about it too much. That's also one perk of working lightly in the beginning, is that when you are not quick enough, it's not so bad because you didn't start out super dark, so you can still add the same, add a darker line later, and it will still have the sense of being faded out and not a hard line. with the outlining part of the shadowing. Like this is a bit, that's also a bit below another bit. Can make a little fold here. Okay, so this is the main part done. As you can see, it's already starting to look quite nice. Now, a second part that you can do, I don't always do it, it kind of depends. In this case, the way I'm drawing, the light sort of comes from this side. It goes from the top of the page towards the fairy, and therefore this part of the dress is a little too white. It's almost the whitest part of the dress, even though this bit is not really in the sun or the light. So I'm giving this side of her dress also a bit more of a shady color, or shaded color, I have to say. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is add in the shadows that her arm makes, or the plant in this case. So I'm gonna outline her arm. I only do this a little bit at the top because the shade tends to be darker towards the bottom. Turn it around for my own grip, it's easier. Now I think I'm actually almost done. The only thing I'm gonna do is make the outer lines here a little bit neater and add a little bit more specific folds to the waistband lines. So up here, go down a little bit. I also made this quite dark for a white dress, but I like that for this one, to almost make it seem like a golden yellow. Hello, welcome to the second part. This is a girl that I'm painting. Her shirt dress situation is going to be pink. Oh, now that I'm looking at this, I've realized I didn't paint her feet in her skin color yet. Oh well, that's not important for this video. Yeah, so it's gonna be pink with white sleeves. And I'm gonna show you how I do it in real time. So I've already wetted her shirt a little bit, just with normal water, blank water, pale, what am I saying? I mean, just water, no paint. It's pretty wet by now, and I've mixed some pink also with water, so it's diluted, pretty watery, so because I don't want the first layer to be too dark. And we're just putting that in now. I'm using a size 2/0 brush. A slightly bigger brush would also be fine for this stage, but I already was using this one, so starting to form a little bit of a hard edge on the upper half of her top, so I'm going to blend that out a little bit. Her sleeves are going to be white mainly, so I'm getting some, I think, Chinese white mixed with a very small bit of yellow, so it gets a bit of a creamy color. And I'm watering that down and just painting her sleeves with it. You obviously won't see much of it because it's very light color. So now the shirt has had a bit of time to dry as I've been doing the sleeves. So you're still going to use your diluted pink, still not too thick. You don't want to get it too dark too fast. And I'm gonna just color all the lines that I've already drawn with the pencil. Just like that. Blend them out a little bit so they're not too dark. Making these lower bits of the wave of the skirt slightly darker. Then similar here as in the white one, you sort of choose one side that's going to be the highlighted side and one side that's slightly darker. This time the light for me is coming from the left. The light is coming from like this side to that, meaning that this side is going to be slightly darker shaded. Now I'm going to add some shading on the sleeves, which I'm actually going to do with pink. That was a bit too dark, so I'm going in and just blending it out immediately. Yeah, and that's basically it. I'm obviously going to go in and paint those dots in pink as well and finish the rest of the painting, but that's how I do the folds on clothing. This is the first fairy all finished, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful.